Hello, you're watching Micro Live. In today's programme, we follow judo and superstars champion Brian Jacks and his family as they comb the shops of beautiful downtown Croydon, looking for the perfect home micro, if such a thing exists.
I'll be trying out the new Micro Live Bulletin Board. Now, if you've got a modem and you care to, you can send us messages live through the show and we'll read some out at the end. Well, that's the plan anyway. I'll be talking to John Coll about choosing a printer for your micro, and John is also going to be attempting to contact some exotic and far-flung places using only his extremely trusty modem.
And I'll be showing you how computers can protect you if you're being lasered by a dragon.
Welcome to our new monthly series, the only live computer programme on television. Micro Live will be each month at 6 o'clock on a Friday with news and features on micros, large computers, software, telecommunications, and of course some of the interesting people who use them. Well, this is the week in which the charity Oxfam...
Stop! Hold it! Hold everything!
Oh, what's this?
35p to you, Mac.
35p? I haven't got any money.
Well, as
Can I
we're
pay you
sharing...
later?
Well, I think so, as we're sharing the same birthday.
Micromart, what's it meant to do?
Well, it's meant to sell new and used computers and computer and related products.
So it's the magazine of the junk market of computers?
Oh, not junk.
Oh, really? Any good bargains in it?
Well, have a look through. There's plenty.
Really? IBM PC and printer. Unused, unwanted gift, quick sale.
Wonderful. Do you want
Your
it?
phone mic.
Well, I should do that now if I were
He's
you.
cheap enough. He's got some good friends, hasn't he?
Certainly.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, back to Oxfam, which is making its final appeal for a second-hand, lightly used software to be brought into their shops for 3 grant sales to be held in London on the 20th of October. The idea of selling second-hand software raised some interesting questions about who's responsible if it goes wrong. Most of the software houses that we contacted in Micro Live straw poll seemed quite happy to have their micro software sold second-hand for charity, and some had already donated new software for the appeal. In fact, this morning, Ocean Software sent us 100 copies of Daley Thompson's Decathlon, currently the #1 in the games charts, for us to forward to Oxfam. Well, this is also the week in which Sir Michael Edwards left after 6 months as chairman of ICL, Britain's largest computer company, with a payoff rumoured to be not too far from £500,000 after the company was sold to STC. So there's still fortunes to be made quickly in computers. Well done, Sir Michael. And we just heard the news that British Telecom is raising their prices by 2% and minimum phone box charges 10p from next month to boost their £1 billion profit. So there's money in the phone business too. Well done, British Telecom. But we've had lots and lots of letters here, some using old technology. They come in envelopes and are delivered by hand, and some by electronic mail, with all sorts of comments and suggestions. On this series, we're giving you an opportunity to write to us while we're on the air through a bulletin board. Well, a bulletin board is more or less exactly what it says. It's a way of you being able to send messages to this computer and also be able to read messages that are stored in the computer itself. It's a Tandy TRS-180 and it's connected into the telecom network by this Dacom 300 baud modem. And it's using TBBS software, which stands for the breadboard software. We've had a bit of trouble with it one way or another today, but we've been rehearsing it all day. Haven't we, Leslie?
We have, and I'm now about to rehearse it in public. I'm just dialing in. I'm not sure whether we can afford this call with that news from British Telecom, actually. It's ringing. Anybody there? Yeah, I've got a high-pitched whine, so that means that the call's been accepted. Place the receiver in the modem. I've got a green light. Press return. Look at that. Welcome to Micro Live. First name, right. Lesley, L-E-S-L-E-Y. Lesley.
It's
Last name.
over here. You're terrible at spelling.
Never mind, we are fully operational.
It was working. Well done, Leslie. The problem with this bulletin board is that only one person can be connected to it at one time, just like your home telephone. So if you do dial in and get an engaged tone, please ring off and try again later. The number for the duration of this programme only is 018112468. And good luck to you. The first 10 people to leave message on the system will get this amazing Micro Live T-shirt. Holy and absolutely valuable.
I want one.
It washes beautifully.
Does it really? Well, it certainly won't fit me. Well, each month we'll be having a film story from our American reporter, Freff. He seems to get all the best jobs. For this first programme, he's been to Hollywood.
One of the most popular tourist attractions in Hollywood is the Universal Studios Tour, a chance to see behind the scenes of a major feature film studio. And when you tire of that, there's always this. Seven times a day and 7 days a week, the Conan the Barbarian show recreates movie special effects live on stage. The effects are spectacular and often dangerous, from laser beams to explosions, and including an 18-foot-tall computer-controlled dragon called Ashley, who appears at the climax of the show.
Freff, the semi-civilized here, and I think it's safe, or at least so Peter Alexander, the show's producer, assures me. Isn't that right, Peter?
I would hope so.
Now, how long did it take you to put all these different technologies together and make this show happen?
It took 9 months to design and build the attraction.
And what controls it all? What keeps it functioning all the time?
Well, there's two things, really. One is a human being. That is, that there's a technical director who watches what goes on the stage, but he interfaces with a series of computers that operate off a number of switches and electric eyes that make sure that the actors are safe and so that it's possible to do all these special effects live.
The basic program material is contained on the VCR down here, which also has a SMPTE time code lapsed right with it in proper time sequence. It's then read by the SMPTE time code reader, which then sends the signal up to the basic main computer here that has bubble memories and such in there. That tells it what to do with the data. At a particular frame count, it knows what bits to turn on and off, etc. The data from this computer is sent down to this other computer that can make logical decisions based on the technical director pushing a button, the actors in the proper position on their mats, etc. We also have 5 separate individual computers up here with 4 megabytes of bubble memory that contain the digital sound effects for laser blast, explosions such as that have to be synced exactly with a laser beam. You can't access a magnetic tape fast enough to sync it properly.
How many different switches are there on this stage?
There's probably about 30 switches on the stage that the actors have to either pass through or step on or do something with.
Okay, now I know there's an effect behind us you wanted to show me. Is there a switch involved in that too?
Yes, that's a cone laser, and that's where Taurus Mordor appears. And what happens there, he's basically sitting down on a little bench seat, and he's sitting down on a pad that tells the computer that he's there. He has to face away from the laser light because, of course, the lasers would be dangerous to your eyes.
No! No, that's so dangerous!
Now, what's going to happen here?
Well, this is the moment in the show where Taurus Mordor turns Callias, who's the good wizard, to stone. And what he does is he comes out and he comes to center stage, right where we're standing, and he steps on this button right here. And that tells the technical director that he's in the right place and he's not going to get hit by the laser beam. Meanwhile, Callias gets on a turntable and he hits a button that says, "I'm safe." Then Taurus Mordor will take this staff here and he's going to break an invisible beam. It's an electric eye that's fired off of one of the braziers right over there. And he'll put the staff up and break the beam. The laser beam will fire and the pyrotechnics will go off and Callias will have been turned into stone.
You shall die!
This is the effect where Red Sonja blocks Taurus Mordor's laser staff. And what she'll do is she will take her sword and bring it down and hit this pedestal. And that will activate an electric eye, which is right back there in this little chair here. And that fires a laser from a brazier down there where Taurus Mordor is standing. At the same time as the laser beam will hit the sword, she will press this button here, which will fire a pyro. And it'll look like, you know, the laser light is exploding off the sword. And then she goes back and she does the same thing on the other side. So it's wow, wow, like that. Just like in space opera.
I'll see you in hell first!
And then finally, in the big finale, Ashley pulls out his #1 weapon, which is fire. Fire comes from his mouth. But this is the one effect that isn't controlled by a button in the floor. The actor who plays Conan just has to know exactly when the fire is coming and exactly how far it's going to go. And fortunately, it always comes in exactly the right time and fires, you know, exactly the right length. Otherwise, he'd be cooked. He's got a fireproof shield that he holds up, and he basically is on his own when he's doing that.
One of the most useful extras that you can buy for your Micro is a printer. But if you're thinking of getting one, have a listen to what John Cole's got to say on the subject first, because I've found that there is a bewildering choice, John, and I wouldn't know where to start to break it down.
Yes, it is bewildering. There are two main divisions, that is dot matrix printers and daisy wheel printers. And we'll have a look at some dot matrix ones first. This one over here is a little tiny dot matrix printer, £99, but its disadvantage is that it uses special paper.
I'd call it loo paper, actually. It's not very pretty,
Very
is it?
similar, not perforated, but about the right size. It is special in that it's thermal paper, and you have to actually heat it up to make it turn black. Now, all dot matrix printers work on the same sort of principle, and we've got a caption which shows how that works. If we can see the caption, you'll see that there are a row of 7 pins vertically, and on the heat-sensitive one, those heat up, and where they land, they make the paper turn black. Right. So you form the characters in that way, a matrix of dots.
Right, now, do all dot matrix printers have to use this special paper, as you call it?
No, they don't, and that's a disadvantage of that one. This one over here, the Brother printer, uses ordinary paper. You see how good it is? Let's try like that instead. There we go. Yeah. That's just using ordinary paper, this time hitting the paper through a ribbon.
Right, well, that's much more pleasing, being ordinary paper, isn't it?
It is.
Can we have a look at a close-up of the print that does?
Yes,
it looks
and if you look carefully, I think you'll see...
Oh, there we are. Oh. There looks like there's something actually wrong with that, because, look, you've got wonky G's there.
All right, well, you insist on using this phrase, wonky G's. I must educate you. They're not wonky G's. There are no descenders on the G's. The letters like G and J and Y, which ought to go below the line, don't manage it, because there are only 7 pins. And if you want to print things below the line as well, you need 9 pins.
Can you get the extra 2 pins? I mean, can you buy them as an attachment?
Well, so do it yourself.
This is a serious question.
No, afraid not.
No, so that's a characteristic that you are lumbered with.
Absolutely.
With that. It looks like a typewriter. Can you work it as a typewriter?
You can. You can pull the interface out here and then just use it as an ordinary typewriter.
Right. Now, but will these 2 dot matrix printers fit up to any computer?
No, they won't. This BBC computer has got interfaces for both that one and that one, a serial interface and a parallel. But in fact, some computers haven't got any interfaces at all. And probably the most important thing, if you're going to buy a printer, I would say, is to go into the shop with your computer and physically see it working. It's terribly important. Then, grab hold of a bit of wire that the sales guy is using and take that piece of wire out of the shop. Don't get fobbed off and told, oh, any old bit of wire will do, because there are an awful lot of differences.
I'd have thought the cable was the least of your worries.
I know. Too many people do, but in fact, at £25 a shot,
expensive
that sort of area,
mistake. Actually, talking about price, we mentioned this one was £99. What was this one?
£165.
Right, so they're cheap and cheerful comparatively.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I don't know, the print looks computerish. It would never pass as a typewritten letter, would it?
So let's have a look at the daisy wheel output, which helps to solve that. Now, here's a daisy wheel. Camera 1 can come right in and have a look at that. This daisy wheel is a plastic disc with a lot of petals on it, and on the end of each petal are embossed letters A to Z. And a hammer comes forward, pushes the petal forward against a ribbon, it lands on the paper and makes a mark.
And actually, it makes quite a nice mark, doesn't it?
It does, very nice indeed. If we have a look at this one here, push that button, right, you can get that on camera, see that the letters are formed beautifully.
Yeah, very nice and very clear. And that's the same lettering on both of those machines. I was helping you along there, you see. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
So you got the same lettering, but is that the only lettering that you can get out of this daisy wheel printer?
No, if you want, you can change daisy wheels. You can pull that one out and put a new one in.
And that's not a screwdriver job, that's just...
No, you take the lid off, circle around inside, but you don't change daisy wheels in the middle of a sentence. You could change it in documents.
So you can change style.
Bit of a nuisance.
Yeah. And what about underlining, things like that? Can you do that?
Yes, you can underline if you send the right commands to the machine. And to send the commands, you need things called printer drivers. That's a bit of software which fits in the computer and sends the right codes to the printer.
Are all computers and printers well catered for with printer drivers?
No, that's another major problem, and that is that if you go for an obscure printer, you probably won't find a driver. But if you go for the Olivetti's or Epsons or something like that, well-known printers, then you'll be able to get printer drivers for them.
So you've got to...
Well, something like that, Mac. Not exactly.
I was about to say you've got to stick to the main road. I think we're mixing our metaphors slightly here. Never mind. Right, hang on. What I wanted to ask is price on these two daisy wheels.
OK, £3.80 and £9.25.
And what do you get for the difference?
About twice the speed.
So you really need to know what you want your printer to do. Because if you don't need the speed, it's £400 down the drain.
Right.
On the other hand, if you want the good lettering, it seems to me you're better off with a daisy wheel, yes?
Well, yes, it's not, unfortunately, as simple as that. It used to be, a year ago, daisy wheels were the marvellous thing and dot matrix pretty grotty. But if you have a look at this one, this is a dot matrix printer, and I don't know if you can see on camera, but there is some very, very high quality print out there. Probably not close enough.
No, that is
almost
superb.
letter quality. Right.
Yeah, and lovely, lots of variety, a different print as well, and underlining.
That's right. So you've got all sorts of bells and whistles, and for only £500.
Best of both worlds.
Very attractive indeed.
Yeah. Still £500 though, it's a
right.
good price.
That's an Epson.
Yeah.
Good printers. Here is another Epson at about £300, and it's a smaller version of the other one, it's the RX80. Beautiful printer. You can not only do high-quality text, but you can also do screen dumps. And you can...
Sorry?
Screen dumps. Come on, I tell you all about this. It means taking a picture off the screen, dropping it onto the printer, every facet right. It doesn't matter whether it's a picture or whether it's text or anything else, so it comes out exactly right. To do that, you have to have another bit of software, a printer driver, like this one, Print Master, which enables you to run with a BBC Micro out to the Epson.
And the Epson is well catered for with software, so you'd
Beautiful
be
printer.
safe with that.
Yes, really good.
Right. And also, presumably, because of the system, you'd better steer clear of daisy wheel printers if you do want pictures and graphics as your main requirement.
Got to. You can only really do graphics, well, you can't do graphics on a daisy wheel, put it that way.
How about this? We've got a Canon here, which is churning out colour. Is that more expensive?
£500 if you want colour.
Yeah.
Some people do.
Some people don't. You have to make up your mind, really, don't you?
What I really want, though...
I knew you'd leave the best till last. What is it?
Look at this thing. Just look at this. This is a laser printer, and this one's going to leave the studio with me. Right, laser printer, beautiful, £3,000, and I'm taking it.
And wonderfully quiet, I must just add in its favour. Though
beautiful.
£3,000 worth of silence, I'm not sure. I think I'll have some noise for my money. Speaking of noise, you've been talking all day about going and talking to the world with a modem.
Right.
Please go and talk, John.
I will. See you later.
This is good going from Brian Jacks.
The World Superstars competition in the Bahamas, 1980, and Britain's Brian Jacks yet again stunned the crowds with his all-round athletic ability.
It's real endurance of the whole body. And he makes it, yes, locks it. Big smiles all round for Brian Jacks. Supporters absolutely delighted.
Now Brian runs his own business, giving judo exhibitions throughout the country.
Julie and I have decided to buy a computer, but we've looked in all these different magazines. We've got hundreds of magazines, and we're just not too sure what to buy. I've found that, having looked through one of the magazines, that there's at least 60 different types of home computers on the market, and we're just not too sure what to buy. We're really confused. So what we'd like to do is we'd like to go around to the shops and have a good look and see what we want. But basically, I believe that we need something that's going to help Philip, our young lad, in his schooling and so on, and something that's also going to help Julie with her typing and to do the office work for me. Croydon seemed the most obvious place to try, since it's nearby and there's a variety of good stores to wander around. We were surprised at the number of computer shops which have opened there in the last few months. But we decided to start with a shop we know well, Smith's in the Whitgift Centre, which now has a large computer department.
What now? Because this is completely new to me.
First you hit the escape key, like that, to get the text.
It's just a standard tape. It takes about 10 minutes. So
It's the size of this, it's a really ugly thing, isn't it? This one, it's enormous, isn't it?
Yeah, you get sort of hard disk, that sort of size now.
I think my wife would go berserk if she saw the size of that.
So what if, would that print out on there?
Yes, it will.
Because the idea is I'm interested in for letter writing.
No, except good things on that one.
Is it not loaded yet?
It is still loading.
Cool.
That's one drawback with the Commodore.
It
takes ages.
Julie quite liked the look of the BBC Micro.
Yeah, the thing about the BBC, it's quite an expensive computer, but there's an electron.
It's expensive, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got plenty of money, so don't worry about that.
Well, there's an electron as well, and that costs £200.
That is the BBC equivalent, though, is it? I'm totally confused,
It's built by the same company, and it speaks the same language, so if somebody writes stuff at school, or programs and things, they can come and run it at home on this machine. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Philip! At the local department store, we were totally spoilt for choice, but we did manage to see a demonstration on the Atari.
Right, if we press E, we can edit the text, right? There's some text in there already. It just says this is a demonstration, etc. Okay. If we want to change a word there, press Control, cursor key, and we can type in.
What's this that Philip's playing with?
This is actually a touch tablet for use with an Atari Artist program. Atari Artist is a bit like this word processor, but it's for pictures. To actually change the program, just take this cartridge out here, place this one in.
My word, that was quick.
Yeah, right, and there we are.
How much does that cost?
That program with this touch tablet is £70.
And the actual machine?
The machine is £250.
So they're all extras. Everything you buy is an extra.
Yeah.
According to what you would do.
By now, my brain was hurting more than my feet. It seemed that each assistant had his own favourite computer. This made it difficult to make an objective choice. That's a tiny one, look at that, look. Well, that's the Sinclair Spectrum. I wonder what that thing is at the bottom.
Oh, you feel those keys, Brian? They're like rubber.
I don't think you'd be able to type very well with that, would you? Try it.
No. Oh, no, I couldn't use that one.
Can you just tell us a little bit about the Spectrum?
Well, the Spectrum has been out for quite a while now, so there is a fair degree of software available for it. Mostly balancing out between educational and games software.
I'll tell you what we'd like to go on to after. We'd like to have a look at the Oric, if that's possible.
Surely, right.
Are the graphics good on that particular one?
They are. The Oryx graphics are particularly good, but at the moment they're not being exploited as much as they could do, simply because, being a new machine, you haven't got a terrific range of software out.
Do they have a disk unit for this one?
There is a disk drive coming out for the Oryx, but again, that is only on the drawing board at the moment.
Yeah, I think really we better stick to something that's, you know, more readily available, haven't we?
Right.
Philip!
Those are gone now.
Philip! Okay, lovely. Can I borrow the pen? Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
So, if you want to see which one we chose, then you'll just have to look in next month. Thank goodness for that. I think I'm still confused, aren't you?
Brian Jackson family, and I'm not surprised at Brian's confusion. So far, we've had lots of people try to get onto us, and the only thing we've got is Eric Schwartz of Harpenden. We managed to get his name, but so far no address, so keep on trying. Well, I'm often asked what sort of computer I should buy for the home, and it's a very difficult question to answer. Often I say to somebody, don't buy a computer unless you really have to. Well, Which, the magazine of the Consumers Association, has done a buying guide for computers, and they've come out with 5 computers ranging from a Sinclair Spectrum at about £130 up to a BBC Micro. But you can see how problematical it is when you look at the cover, and there on the cover is a Dragon 32, and shortly after this, Dragon itself ran into problems and got itself acquired. So in the October edition of which, we find that they're recommending that it comes out of their list of front runners. When you go into business micros, it becomes even more difficult, and there are several hundred items of equipment to choose from. And Which Computer this month has a wonderful article saying it's the only buying guide you'll ever need. And, of course, that isn't an exaggeration. It's interesting inside, though, when you look at it, the article starts off by saying, survival kit for your computer purchasers, and it gives some rather interesting horror stories. Here's one. How about this? There's some 2,000 dealers, many of whom are unscrupulous, dishonest, technically ignorant or unstable. In the last 12 months, 600 dealers went out of business. They then go on to state about all the problems you can get into installing a business computer, losing control of your stock, losing contact with your customers and so on, and finally going bankrupt as a result of the combination of all these. Well, if you've met a dishonest dealer, you've met an unscrupulous one, or an ignorant one, or you've been driven out of business by a computer, please let us know. We had a rather interesting comment in one paper today. It said a firm of London solicitors won £16,000 in damages after being sold a computer they didn't need. The judge involved in the case pointed out the firm would have been better off to stick to their manual methods. As somebody's pointed out, it's rather like finding you guilty of manslaughter if you sell a motorbike to a teenager who hasn't got a licence and the first thing he does is take off and drive into a tree. Well, I've been joined by Stephen Castell, who is an information technology consultant. Welcome, Stephen. He's also the author of a book called Computer Bluff. What's new, Stephen?
Well, Mac, I've been looking at so-called smart cards and laser cards, memory cards. This one is the Drexon laser card, made from a substance called Drexon, made by the Drexler Corporation in the States. Data can be stored in it by a photographic process rather than an electronic process, so it can be read by a low-powered laser. And some of us are predicting that this kind of card will be the computer product, personal computer memory device of the future. This little beauty stores about 2 megabytes, that's about 800 A4 pages of text. Obvious applications, software distribution, electronic publishing, that's manuals and textbooks, and of course, perhaps a complete medical history of a person could be kept on one and you could keep it with you. Compared with that, the sort of standard credit card, of which it's the same size, just stores about 45 words or so on its little magnetic stripe. Another type of smart card is the one which has...
Just going back to that Drexel card,
yeah.
I understand that BPC, Bob Maxwell's organisation, has taken out the licence in the UK. What do you think he's going to use it for?
Well, we'd probably have to wait and see, but it's interesting that it's the only UK company that's actually licensed the technology, and it's a publishing company, so he's obviously got his eye very much to the future of this new medium. We'll look forward with interest to see what he does with it.
One of the things I read about it said he could store your picture on it, and I thought, well, you know, it's not much use if you haven't got the equipment to read it back, and it would seem to me there'd be an innovation to actually store your picture in the shape of photographs, so everybody could read it. Is it really an improvement on that?
I don't know. I think it's a bit of a sort of solution looking for a problem at the moment, but it does open up the whole question of image processing and image storage, and I think there's some fascinating developments there in the future. Another type of smart card is this, of which this is an example. It has only 4K of memory in it. By comparison with the other one, it's rather tame, but of course it does have intelligence with it. And one of the interesting products which this fits in with is a telephone product. This is called the Memotel. One can slip it in here. It's a repertory dialer, normally stores about 150 numbers selected by a single button stroke or perhaps a couple. With this one, you can stuff it in and get about 600 more numbers. Now, take it from your London Memotel across to your New York Memotel, and hey presto, you can find that just exactly the same keystrokes will select the same telephone numbers. The intelligence in the card interfacing with the unit in New York knows that it's in New York and puts the right prefix codes on, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, that's quite a smart...
One of those in New York.
Well, this is the problem, of course. One needs the readers and the applications to use it properly.
What else is happening?
What else is happening? Well, it's been an interesting 2 months for developments generally, very weighty developments in information technology. We've had things like the British Telecommunications Act becoming law, BT PLC being formed, Oftel, the Office of Telecommunications, and BT going public next month to make even more money, presumably, out of their new prices. We've had the Data Protection Act becoming law, and we've had things like a report from NEDO about the information technology crisis, they put it.
Of course, we've got a new Minister of Technology. Kenneth Baker's moved on to pastures greener.
That's right. Are they greener? I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, only he can tell,
yes.
actually.
What do you think of that?
Well, I'm in two minds about it. This government, you know, when it first came in, seemed to start off so many good initiatives in information technology. Many of us applauded them. I mean, the whole BBC and schools micro programme is one of them. I just got a sneaking suspicion at the moment that we're seeing something which may be summarised as sort of yesterday's men trying to apply today's solutions to tomorrow's problems, and I fear that some of these initiatives are going to go fut on us.
Oh!
Sorry about
that. That hurts. Well, thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
One event that showed today's computer technology was the Personal Computer World Show held last week at Olympia in London. It modestly claims to be the greatest micro show on Earth, so how could we miss it? Yeah, well, it may have had the highest technology on the planet, but as we plugged in our lights, we fused the power to Apricot stand for 2 hours. Sorry, Apricot. Here's Lesley.
I don't know whether the PCW show is really the greatest micro show on Earth, but it was certainly packed the day I was there. And showing me some of the things which particularly interested him was journalist Chris Palmer. OK, Chris, you've dragged me to the Apricot stand. Why?
Oh, primarily because it's British.
Oh, that's a good enough reason. What else?
Well, it's the new Apricot Portable. Unfortunately, you still need a mains point to plug into.
Yeah.
And it's worth actually saying that the monitor over here is an addition which you can make to the system.
Ah.
The portable part is this bit you see
So
here.
you've got a liquid crystal display which would show everything a standard monitor
Yeah, I mean,
shows.
you can use it as that. You don't need the monitor.
So it's this and this. And am I right in thinking there's no other wires apart from the mains lead?
Certainly. The keyboard itself communicates with the main part of the computer via infrared in the same way that your TV or video controller would.
Well, that makes it very neat, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Another nice factor about this is the mouse. This one has actually been primarily designed to be used handheld, and it's also infrared controlled, so you can move about the room or your desk while you're using it.
Or sit in an easy chair.
Or sit in an easy chair.
Now tell me about this liquid crystal display.
Well, this is one of the biggest liquid crystal displays that's yet become available on any computer. The same sort of display you'd get in a watch or a calculator, only much, much bigger. So it means that you have a usable area to work on the screen.
Ah, now this is more my level.
Yes.
I like it. Colours and shapes, but great for kids.
Yeah, absolutely ideal for kids. What it actually is a touch-sensitive pad which interfaces into the major micros. And so, as you say, great for kids because from an early age they're not really that happy with a keyboard, and so you've got something here which you've got colours and shapes on which a kid can relate to and actually use and interact with the computer. At the moment it's compatible with 5 of the leading micros. And this is Apple's latest addition to their range, the Macintosh. And what I wanted to show you is a rather wonderful piece of software that's running on it, which is a visual database.
What do you mean by that? Is there's pictures of houses instead of words?
Yes, I mean, what they've done is, obviously your visual senses are a lot stronger than looking at words or numbers. So if we want the information on that particular house there, we point to it and press the button and it marks that house, and we ask it to link.
Yeah.
So it's now going to link through to some more detailed information on that house. And say you're interested particularly in the size of the living room. So once again, you point at the living room and it would highlight it there on the screen, and you now ask for info on the living room. And now it actually comes up and it says, right, the living room is what you're looking at. It's 200 square feet. It's got 2 closets and 6 windows.
Are you telling me that this is an ordinary personal computer?
It's an ordinary home computer and it's got this rather wonderful keyboard which sits on top of it.
It's just an attachment.
Yeah, it's a mechanical keyboard, and the way it actually works is when you press a key here, it's actually pressing the key on the keyboard underneath it.
But look, for someone like me, who I can't read music or play music, how much fun would I get out of this?
Well, one of the nice features, because it's a software-based system, you can actually tell it to remember the notes you play. So you've got an inbuilt sequencer which will remember what you play on the keyboard.
Ah, and since we've got the notes here written down, so if I read them out to you,
Right,
you
we'll
ready?
have a go at inputting this.
G. This is where have all the flowers gone, incidentally.
Right.
G, A, G, F, E, D, C. That didn't sound like where have all the flowers gone to me.
No, but one of the other nice features about it is you can actually play it back in the time by just tapping one key. So if we now ask it to remember the time, I'll tend to actually play it back as it should be. And if you hit it again, it'll actually play back, remembering the time you put into it.
£25,000. Let's put the lid on it, Chris, quickly.
A lot of money.
I don't think I've ever seen so much money in my life. Right, where's the... Oh, no, don't say I've lost the key. Oh, you got the key. Great. Right, now, £25,000, that is some prize, isn't it? I know, I mean, the oil companies do it, the newspapers do it, but is this the first time that a computer firm's done it?
This amount of money for a computer firm, that is actually the prize for the first person to solve the adventure called Eureka. Now, Eureka is a multi-part adventure game. There are 5 actual adventures and 5 arcade games, and you have to complete each one in sequence before you can actually get to the end and claim the money.
Right, so you don't just win like that.
No, it's a long slog.
Right, so where do I get a game?
Well, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait till the 31st of October, which is when they actually become generally available.
You can read
I'll read it. We've got a hilarious message here from the States. And what's it saying?
Be
sure to let all your viewers know that we in the colonies are very big on things British. I mean, a person can't buy something in a supermarket without seeing the latest news on Lady Di or rollicking Randy Prince Andy. We're also real fond of Maggie Thatcher and Boy George. Personally, though, I think George is the best dressed of the two. I think Maggie Thatcher would look pretty silly with all that hair, though. That's the only thing. Now, listen, that's a lovely message. What, from America?
Yes, that one I think's from America.
And but it's not the same thing as electronic mail, is it?
No, we are not on electronic mail and we're not on chat. We're on a system called Party.
And what does that mean? Party, whoopee,
no,
lots of people
it's
joining
not quite in that sense, although it's a sense of a lot of people joining together. It's participation in a conference.
I see.
And so this is a conference which is set up worldwide. We've got a real problem at the moment because of time scales. It's 1 o'clock in New York. They're asleep in Australia, so we've had to wake somebody up and tell them to come online. But we've got a conference running right around the world with messages whizzing all over the place.
Well, with all this party talking, poor old Mac can't get a word in edgeways. I think he's got something useful to say, actually. Mac?
Oh, well, thank you, Leslie. Well, we all know what happens. These computers really aren't as easy to use as they say. When you switch them on, you get something like this. Well, I didn't expect it to make music at me, but they give a greater than sign with a flashing cursor like this. And if you want to do something, you probably have to type in something like *cat, which is a catalogue or directory, and it will give you a list of the programs you've got stored here on your disk. And then to load a program, you probably have to type chain, and not forgetting to put it in quotation marks, and we'll put out live 1, and that will load it and then run it. And with a bit of luck, out comes a program, and off she runs. You've got to know the sequence of things to do. It's specialised for each computer you're running on. With a professional computer, something like this, when you switch it on, you'll get a screen with the various alternatives at that particular point well outlined. In this particular machine, it's in a rather nice graphic form, and you can move the cursor along and select another one and get another a series of options of things you can do at that point. It's called a menu. In this case, they're all graphics. You can do a similar sort of thing on your Micro, and the great advantage of it is that you can go up to it, see what options are available, and anybody else can do the same. And we can do the same sort of thing on this machine here. And what I have to do that, the problem really comes in two parts. Firstly, to have a program that will do the menuing itself, and secondly, you need a little program so that when you switch your machine on, you automatically go into the menu. Well, we've written a little program here, and we'll have a look at that and see what it looks like. Well, this menu gives you an option of 3 programs that we have on disk. And, of course, you're not limited to the names that you have on the disk. You can call them whatever you like. And we've got a list of 3 here. You just type in a 2, and it will come. And, surprisingly, the code is really quite short. And I can show you that. And there it is. That's the total code for producing this menu program. And it's a very, very nice, simple little system. But that's only half the battle. What we need to do is to get it so I can run that as soon as I switch the computer on. And this is called booting the system. I think it comes either from bootstrapping the system when you switch it on, or probably dim and distant past when there were valve computers, and you switched it all on and the old electrons didn't flow, and you lifted up your foot and give it a real boot, and it sprang into life and you got some code going. So we have on this particular machine to type *build*, *boot, and then the first thing we want the machine to do when we switch it on. In this case, we want to chain menu, just as we did before. So we can escape from that, and I'll switch it off, switch the machine on again, and then I'll do a shift break, and automatically I'm straight into the menu. And I hit a 2, and hopefully Steve's graphic will come up. It's a lot easier, it's very straightforward, it's very simple. And if you're interested in doing this yourself, we'll give you details on how to get more information at the end of the programme. Well, next month, the government is expected to announce the date for the sale of British Telecom shares. And on Micro Live, we'll be discussing the possible effects of both privatisation and liberalisation on the phone service and how it's going to affect you. Freff will be reporting from America on the breakup of American Telephone and Telegraph, the company that at one time had a virtual monopoly of the phone service in the US. And we'll be doing parallels between there and here. While he was filming in the opening to that story on Madison Avenue in New York, unknown to him, I was also in town. Up till then, we'd not met, just seen each other on television. This is what happened on take 3.
It used to be simple in America. God was in his heaven and all was right with the world. IBM made computers. AT&T, American Telephone and Telegraph, made telephones. And smaller companies supplied things the big guys didn't care about. Like
Hello, Freff, what are you doing talking to yourself on the street?
How are you doing?
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mac.
Good to see you after all this time.
You know something?
I've only seen
You're
an
a lot
electronic
realer.
replica.
You're a lot realer in real life than you are in television.
Yeah, you've got more depth too that way.
And height and breadth and everything. You're wearing a tie today.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
They're
That's
filming this,
I
aren't
thought
they?
for New
Those
York.
sons of bitches are filming this. you sick, twisted, deviant producer, you.
We thought you'd like it. I just came over for the day to see you.
Oh,
and
well.
they said you're talking here in the middle of Madison Avenue, and I should come over and say, how are you doing, Freff? And how did you get such a daft name anyway?
Well, actually, it was a nickname when I was a kid. I was madly in love with this girl in high school, see? She was gorgeous, but she thought I was cute, which is not what I wanted. Anyway, we started doing these guerrilla theater routines, and she gave everybody names. It's all very complicated. She gave me the name Freff, and I discovered it was a good name for artwork.
And I understand in the telephone book it's, I am Freff.
No, it's just Freff. Although, boy, the places it does, the things it does to computers around here, I am our Freff to the telephone company because they took the M off Mr. I am Mr. Freff with no space to the electric company, and I am Mr. spelled out Freff to MasterCard. It's very strange.
So what are you going to do for the program? What interests you?
All kinds of things. I've been working with computers for years, okay, but in a small way, and I've changed my life with them. I'm fascinated in seeing the way they're changing other people's lives, because when I bought mine, people thought I was some kind of alien. They said, computer, that's very strange, isn't it? In fact, I had to drive 40 miles out of the city to buy one because there were no stores in Manhattan then.
There must be 50 within 100 yards of here, just
damn close. Very, very close to that, yes.
Are people using them in the home in Manhattan?
Yes, more and more. You get a lot more things with microprocessors in them, of course. Microwave ovens, refrigerators, everything's got something. I mean, they'll have ballpoint pens with microprocessors sooner or later to help tell you when you've misspelled words.
Are you using some of the bulletin boards we talked about on that live show we did? Do you use them yourself?
As a matter of fact, one of the things I do here in New York is I'm co-chairman of an organization called the Centauri Users Group, which is Centauri is an Apple-based musical instrument, a computer digital synthesizer. And just last night, we organized our own bulletin board just for the 50, 60 members in the New York area to call into New Jersey, leave software, leave programs, new sounds, new samples, compositions, just, for the call.
And how many people are phoning in now?
Well, since we only opened it up today, I'll find out when I get home.
What sort of advice do you give to young kids when they're buying their first micro?
Well, save money. Things are changing so fast, and the power of computing is coming down in price and increasing in quality so rapidly that what they should do is look at what they'd like to do, buy something that will do that, no more, no bells and whistles, just exactly what they need, because in a year they'll have a better scope on what they really need and be able to spend their money more wisely.
I did see a Sinclair ZX80 at $36. It must be just about down to the price of a paperback book.
It's probably getting to the point where it's, I'd say in 6 months you'll probably be able to buy one for the cost of shipping it from England.
It's great to see you, great to be with you.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
You're coming out to dinner tonight?
Absolutely. I wanted to know something. Can we change jackets here? I was wondering if... Come on.
Yeah, okay. You know, in the last 5 minutes, I mean, this thing's been so busy, about 40 messages have come in, so that means that although contributors have been alerted that they could leave messages earlier, they're all doing it now, aren't they?
Yes, coming in from all over the place. We've got some from Australia, some from Japan, some from the States, and obviously me over here.
Yeah. How much do you know about all these people?
Well, when we set this up on Tuesday, I knew absolutely nothing. And to find out about the people, you can say PJ, which means Profile of Joiners. And that gives you a list of everybody who's on the conference, who's decided to join. And Harry, myself, Dr. Tom, whoever that is, Norm C, that's Norman Choi, Cherwin, Shari, Maud Dibb, who's Joey in Tokyo.
Well, Stuart, that was the American guy we had the first message off, wasn't it?
That's right, that was Stuart. So there are a list of names, and after that you can actually go in and you get a profile on a particular person, so you can begin to find out more about them.
We were talking about time difference. Presumably you do have to take that time difference into account.
Very
because,
much.
I mean, for instance, American business hours have been what they're at the moment, aren't they?
That's right. That's why I thought we'd have quite a lot of difficulty with this demonstration, because, you know, they're actually working.
Yeah. So it would be irresponsible, really, to go diving in on their work programmes,
Don't interrupt. Go on.
I was just going to ask you then, how much does it cost to contact, to do all this?
OK. We spent about £3 on the
Could you do the next bit next month?
I will,
I think we've got to stop now, because we've been so busy talking around the world, we're going to leave poor Mac with no time to talk with people around the corner.
Right, local.
Well, one advantage about doing a live programme is you can correct mistakes as you go along. Orica phoned up to say that the Lasky salesman didn't quite get it right. There is a disk drive available, and it costs £269. And we do have some messages that have come through. Good evening to all at Micro Live. Suggest you emphasise this is a 300 baud system, which is important. Hello, Mum and Dad. And hello to Michelle. Good luck to all at the Beeb. I think that means everybody. Greetings from Basildon iTech Computer Club. This program's a great idea. Let's see more of it. Oh, I like the idea of that. Hello, Mac. Great program. That's good. I like that. Hello, Micro Alive. What a load of old rubbish. This is my last one. Put a more of Lesley Judd, or else I'll turn off my set. Is that clear? I like that. There's another one from Daisy Wheel. I'd like you and Leslie to come for dinner with me.
You're making them up. Come on, can I have my
That's
messages,
a good one.
please?
No,
can I have my messages?
Yes, you can. There's another one. I'd like you all to come to dinner with me and my boyfriend, Hugh Manfactors. You like that?
That's a pretty good name, isn't it? It's an absolutely brilliant name, yeah.
Yeah, they live at Disk Drive.
And they live at Disk Drive?
It is.
I bet it's a very, very long number as well, Mac.
Yeah, it is. The brother's called Icon. And they're going to an Indian takeaway prepared by Mr. Ram Chip.
And the guest personality is Dot Matrix.
Dot Matrix, that's
okay,
beautiful.
Okay.
Well, from next week, the Micro Live Bulletin Board will be open all the time. But there will be a new phone number. It's 01 579 2288. 579 2288. Now, if you want more details about anything on the show, there are a number of ways to obtain it. You can, of course, get information from the bulletin board itself, or you can write into an address which we'll give at the end of the programme for some programme notes.
And if you're on Telecom Gold, then you can find all that information by typing info BBC One, and you can also send messages to us on BBC 100, and you can find us on Castell, page 80,000.
What the heck happens on all the other 79,999?
I don't know, Mac. I only got to page 3.
Page 3. Well done. Do something during the week. Well, there's information including programme listings on CFAX, page 700 onwards, and some of the programmes we've already shown are available on telesoftware. And after all that, if you haven't got a micro, don't forget you can win a BBC computer and £50 worth of software every week by entering a competition in the Listener magazine. And since few people who read the Listener seem to understand computers, your chance of winning is rumoured to be very high. That's all for this month. The next programme is live on Friday, November the 9th. See you then.